get some practice in using Git, and go over some possible workflows that might come in handy. And if we have enough time, I might try to get us in a situation where we have to deal with a merge issue, merge conflict, get some practice with that. If you've probably seen, you may have seen a merge, done a merge before, but there's all different kinds of ways to get into trouble with them. So I'm sure we can come up with something that that will be interesting. So, does anybody have any questions before we dive in about using Git up to this point, or how's it been going? And Aaron said he's been using it a little bit, but too much fire hose coming at him for a whole lot of practice. How about everyone else?
Are there any specific tips you have for setting up your command line to like interface with you the way you want? I know you had some special settings that, you know, the shortcuts and different things that you've created.
Yeah, most of that is in that that .bash profile I gave you in out of my repo. I did a long time ago put in something that I think was called Oh My ZSH.
Chris, real quick, can you
sure?
Can you go back to the Google Chrome page? Can you hit present now?
Present. Oh yeah, there it is. What's that?
That one right there.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you Google Oh My ZSH, not that. Like that. Yeah, that you know, work through installing that. It seemed to be fairly straightforward as I recall when I did it, and that puts lots of Git knowledge into your if you're using ZSH. If you're not, it should tell you how to do that in your Mac environment. And then I think, as I recall, I got lots of stuff for free with that. So,
thanks.
Yeah. If I echo my shell, it tells me I'm using /bin/zsh. I think there's a place in the system settings where you can set that up for your terminal. And then probably if I do a ls-l in my home directory, then somewhere there's probably something that it uses. Yeah, there's a .omyzsh directory there that brings in lots of goodness. So yeah, if you want to set that up and have any issues with it, just Slack me and I'll dive into it with you. But it hasn't, at the very least, it hasn't gotten in my way. I'll say that. So yeah, I think it gives you like autocomplete if you're typing a branch on it with the Git command and hit tab, it'll autocomplete the branches that it knows about. It's kind of cool stuff like that. Okay, any other questions about Git? Anybody not used Git since we last talked? No volunteers. All right. So I'll give you a quick review then of what I think we covered last time. The main thing being the Git data model. Anybody remember the three types of Git SHAs? Blob was one of them. Tree. Yeah, tree was another one. There's a point. Yeah, it's a pointer. Head is a pointer to a SHA. What kind of SHA is it a pointer to? You look at, go to some repo, where are we at under Platoon. That was where my Git classes at. That's it. Forgot where it was. I'll just get back there. So hit clone. She did a something like this, wasn't it? Dash Chris.
Oh, the commit SHA.
Commit SHA, exactly. Okay, so yeah, so all these SHAs that you see here in a log are commit SHAs because they string a history together of commits, which include parent SHAs. And if just to go into the top one, for instance, we can do a get, what is it, cat file. And we give it a -T, it tells us what type it is. It says it's not a valid object. Why would it say that? That's interesting. Not. Must have copy pasted the wrong thing. Let's try this again here. That one. Okay. Yeah. Commit. We do a -P. We can see its contents. We used this a little bit last class. So you see it has a tree SHA and a parent commit, and then other stuff that goes with the commit, other author committer, and then the last record is the comment that you put in to the commit. And if we just finish the story and look at the tree, get an idea of what that is, which in this case is full of blobs. But if you had a directory structure, then it would be more than blobs. It would be trees and blobs. So far so good. We looked at get reset, which I won't go into detail now, but just to reiterate quickly that it's got the three forms, the soft, mixed, and hard, and it deals with your the three trees basically that you're working with at any time in Git, which is the commit that you're in the context of, the one that Aaron mentioned head points to. It's got the index. I think somebody mentioned the working tree, which is basically your index, what you're ready to commit, and then the actual files on disk, which is your work directory. So git reset does, reset-soft will move the head back and leave everything else the same. So if you want to uncommit and put more stuff into your index, you can do that. The reset-mixed will change your head and your index so that everything looks unstaged. It'll back you up, and suddenly everything is uncommitted and just not added even yet. And then finally, get reset hard will move you all the way back to wherever you choose and change all three of those trees and possibly wipe out the stuff you've done. So good to practice with those before you use them in anger. Okay, so let's jump into some workflow commands in no particular order. The four that I have in mind are a little bit boutique. They're not something you use every day, but they do come in handy fairly often. You guys know about git stash already? Not git. Okay, that actually is pretty handy. So suppose I am. You want to walk through this with me? You can. I'm in my learning git Chris directory, and I'm on master. And I am, editing something, and then so I'm working along here, and then suddenly somebody says, "Hey, you know what? I need this thing pushed up, right?" And you're in the middle of, oops, I'm in the middle of caps lock. In the middle of something. You got modified stuff on your branch. You're working on master. Maybe you've even added it, right? You've got stuff in your index, right? I'm going to use the shortcut get GS for get status. And now you've got to switch gears and do something else for a while, but you want to come back to this. So what do? How do you stash it? How do you stash it?
Get stash.
What happens when I get stash?
Here's your stage, so you can focus another branch.
Okay. It actually tells you exactly what it did. So index, what's WIP mean? Anybody know what WIP means?
Work in progress.
Yeah, work in progress. So if we look at our log, we can actually see it. Actually made a little sort of commit for us to keep track of it. So we get stash, and now if we do a get status, now we're clean. Right? This is all this stuff out here is just the commit name and the comment. So, you know, it's whatever comment I had. So, so now I've sort of backed up, and I'm clean, you know, back clean to where I was. And so now I can go. Now I can get branch, or I can make other changes and push them on up. Now, if I make a change to, say I had to make a change to the same file. Whoops. Use this keyboard. Say I made a change to README, the very same one I was working on. Important change. Okay. Out of there. Git add that. Git commit it. Okay, so now what's it look like? So what's happened here? These top two lines, what are they showing us?
They're showing you that the stash is now merging into what you're gonna push out.
Well, not merge, it's actually diverged. Right, they're going
Oh yeah.
opposite directions now. They're coming off the same guy here. There's sort of there's a couple of SHAs associated with this whole stash, right? Because I did a git add, so there was an index. That's what's telling you here, and then I had to make a reference to that. So there's this commit up here. So so now I'm going to have to do a merge, aren't I? So if I do a git stash pop, what do you think it's going to tell me? Any guesses?
It's back in your staging area.
Yeah. Sorry, is there a comment?
I was wondering if it was going to give you a conflict.
Yeah, indeed it does. Yeah, it says merge conflict. So you can get a merge conflict without explicitly doing a merge. If the stuff that you stashed doesn't match, it cannot be automatically brought in, and you've gone ahead and committed something in the meantime. So what does that look like? Let's look and see what it. Does that look familiar to anyone? So that's a classic, I guess you could call it a merge report. Any file that has a conflict, you'll see these two sections with three dividers, right? So here's updated upstream, and then stash changes. Or if you're doing an explicit merge, you'll have like head and then the thing you're merging down here. And I personally had a hard time kind of getting used to that because first of all, I wasn't used to source control changing my files without my explicit permission. But Git just goes ahead and does that. You know, it throws stuff in there, and if you don't figure it out, it'll leave it in there. If you just commit this as it is, it'll stay there. And if it's, of course, if it's code, your code will no longer compile or run or whatever. So you have to deal with this, and you have to understand like where each of those sections is, which one came from head, which one came from your stash in this case, or if you're doing a merge, which one came from head and which one came from your branch out here that you're merging in. Because if you get them backwards, then you get the wrong changes into your source code or whatever, general source code in our case. So I would recommend, create some merge conflicts like I just did and play with them and understand what you're looking at, so that when you do reconcile them, you'll know what the sources are for these different pieces of code. So we recognize this, right? Much more important change. That's the one I made after I did the git stash. This is the one I was working on before. But you can kind of do whatever you want. You take these out once you know where the boundaries are. You can either keep them both, or keep one, keep the other. Let's just keep them both, and then you could add something else too, right? Maybe you need to make a little bit of a tweak for them both to be compatible. Whatever you do, that's what gets saved. We say status. It'll tell you, yeah, you're not done yet, right? Both modified, and it just tells you what to do to resolve it. If I do this, okay, how about now? Now I've told Git, okay, I've completed my analysis and remediation of this conflict. Let's go ahead, right? And you can just proceed as normal. Whatever comment applies. I tell what to do, don't I? Commit. Okay, look at what I did. Okay. Interesting. So fix the conflict. Still left this stash up here, or unless that's another one. What happens if I do this? Interesting. Did I have another conflict? Okay, now I'm puzzled. Dash changes. So I didn't get the there. Nothing to commit, it says. And it says that that my working tree is clean. So somehow, and this is confusing to me. So somehow it says that these are the same, but it's not reflecting. I guess my guess is that if you were to go ahead and make your if you made your stash, so if we showed a merge here, this is my point of confusion. If this was a merge commit, which it kind of looks like, right? We did a merge, and normally you would see it would have two parents. But the trouble with that might be that if this is its parent, we're going to drop this thing, right? We're going to do a git stash drop, and then that parent will no longer necessarily be there. So I think Git is knowing what it is, that it's sort of an ephemeral commit. We didn't actually do a commit; we just did a stash. So it's saying, I'm not gonna make this the merge commit. I'm just going to put your changes in there as if it were, but I'm not going to go ahead and represent it that way.
So, would it derail your lesson plan? Like, I don't want to derail your lesson plan, but is it?
We're just playing with Git. We're right on track.
Can we do that with the assignments that we do, like our Git assignments? Can you modify one of those?
Okay.
Like, I feel like I'm kind of getting lost in what you're doing because this is like a new file and it should make sense. But if you did like one of our little challenges and then said, oh, now it's not going to go to John, or
Sure,
that might help. But if it takes too long,
no. What do you got? What's a repo that we could clone? Give me a link.
Yeah, you go to GitHub.
Okay.
Yeah. Cache there.
What's the org?
It's going to be Code Platoon.
Code Platoon. We got rights there.
so I don't know if this helps you with like,
Sure. Okay.
and then like any one of these.
So Orca Platoon, which one do you want?
Oh, from there it doesnn't matter. Like we're used
I
to.
think we only have access to that. So you just
We
Back
only
to
have access.
Echo?
yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So what do we want on here?
School.
School?
Yeah.
Right here. Okay. So Echo Platoon School. So I should be able to do, copy that. Go here, paste that. See what happens. Now I got to remember my password. That's 1 second. So I think no, that's the wrong one. So this one, copy, paste. Does it work? Yes, it works. Awesome. Now we can go into school. Okay, what do you want to modify?
School.rb.
Okay. School. All right. Okay, so we got to change. Okay, you want me to go to the same exercise on this that I did?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
readme?
make a merge conflict. Or,
Okay. You want to make a real one or just one from the stash? Like a real merge
from the
conflict?
stash, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. So we got that. We do get status, modified, get stash. Okay, same sort of thing. Nothing there. We look at what we're after. Okay, oh, we got some origin, some branches here. No, they're not merged thus far. We should try some of those. But for now, here's our stash. And now we want to make another change to it. Was that school.rb? So if we do the same thing, put something different, right? That should be a conflict, shouldn't it? Like that. Get added. Get committed. Okay. We got sort of a similar situation, don't we? So let's try to get stash pop. Merge conflict. Okay. So there we are, right? Here's these lines are the same, so it doesn't care about those. It'll be the def in the end. These lines, it says you've got a problem that I can't solve. So we could do that. And if we were to do a similar pattern here, we could add more code here. Or not, right? Whatever, how we think we need to resolve the conflict. Or we could say, probably more typically, we would say, what did I just do? Get out. Caps lock on again. Okay, so if we wanted to do something different, we could say, we'd just merge their behavior, right? So not like that. Do that. And add that to the readme, we're in school. Okay, so now we've got, oh, what I want to do is status. Now it's in the index because it's green. Check it against what's committed by using dash dash staged. So this is what was committed. This is what we're going to put in, right? This is our index change. And so now we should be able to go ahead and commit it. Made them work together, right? Because we did something that was a little bit different than the sum of those two changes. Sometimes what you do, you want to be careful of that in general, because you can sort of, if you make a whole lot of changes just to resolve a merge, or you think of something else that is unrelated, but you put it in, then you can kind of lose resolution on what you were actually up to when you were merging those changes. So want to be disciplined about what you do mix in together, because this is all going into this one commit.
What other solution is there to resolve the conflict?
So sometimes you get a conflict because you maybe you go to push up and it doesn't push up because somebody else has pushed up. So you know, your copy of master is different than the remote copy of master. And you say, I do this a lot. I'm like, shoot, I forgot to pull first before I committed, right? So now you've got this sort of unnecessary merge, because now you've got your change and you've got a divergent change up on the remote. You do a pull, and it may resolve without conflicts, but you still got a merge commit when you really don't need one, because you can just, if you had pulled first and then put yours on top, then it'd be a straight line history. So in those cases, what I do just to make the history look more reasonable is to do that reset dash dash hard, move mine back down, right? I keep track of this commit I had up here, just, you know, write down or leave it you can get at it with git ref log, or you can copy paste it, whatever. But the reset dash dash hard moves it back down. So now it's sort of where master was. And if I pull now, then master comes over here, the remote master on top. Right? Let's just do that. Let's just say we've got this situation with these changes. So what's this guy here? That's an index. How about this guy, Aaron branch? What in the world is on that branch? Let's find out. So if we, okay, Aaron. We're gonna do we're gonna take a look. It's public, right? It's in the history.
So GitHub.
There it is. Oh, we got a space at the end of a line. Get highlights of that stuff. So all right, so there's some stuff. There's some stuff in Gem file. Okay. So yeah.
Let me go ahead and change that really quick.
Too late. It's already in there. So there's the gem file lock. Here's some stuff here. Got some things. Okay, so now if we were, how could we create a conflict? Actually, let's not even worry about that. Let's just merge it. Right. So if we go, I probably don't have permission to do this, but I'll try it anyway. I do a git push origin master. What happens? Oh no, it worked. So what have I done? Now I've got my stuff up there. Okay, so because this is out on a branch, it was okay, right? So it didn't, it's still unmerged. Here's a good, so what if you did that? You got stuff up there and you immediately realized it and you thought, oh no, I need to fix that.
Hard reset.
You could do that. Trouble is, it's already out on the remote. So if you're quick, you can force push and get back to where you were before. Right. So what you want to do is set master back to what it was before. So what was it before?
Here, merge.
Well, this hasn't changed, right? We haven't actually merged anything on here. We just looked at it. We didn't. All I did was a git show, right? Right. So we looked at it. I haven't changed anything anywhere. Just a git show is just a show.
So we made Aaron's branch the new master, right?
Nope.
No.
I just showed it. A show just says what's different about this commit than its parent. That's all it does. So you can look at any arbitrary commit, git show. What is this commit, right? Just git show. Okay, here's the diffs. Here are the changes that went in on this commit versus its parent. So that's all that was. So we can see what Aaron did, but we haven't changed anything. Does that make sense?
And when you said, oh no, it worked, what did we do?
Well then, so I did a git show, and then I did a git push origin master. So I basically updated the remote master with what my master has, which is this random, change I made to school.rb, right? Which nobody, I'm sure, really wants.
If you run that program the way it works, I will tell you that.
Your branch?
Yeah.
All right. We might get to that. But so the case of where it worked, right? If I do it again, there's nothing happens because it's already done. So, what was origin master before? One way is to look in our history. Maybe we've seen it
Basically,
before.
it was just the outline of the program and what they wanted. Should be.
Yeah.
Could we find it with a branch description, like a branch diagram, or no?
Well, we might. So, not really. I mean, once it's changed, we don't know what it was. We could probably figure out what it was. Like, we know we don't want this on it, right? So if we go back to before then,
DAL, that one.
this looks like a possibility.
That looks like it's mine. We don't want that one.
Well, it's yours now, but you haven't actually done anything,
Okay.
right? You haven't pushed any changes that's made it diverge. Like Kimberly's RV branch has. They've actually pushed a couple changes, right? You can see change 1, change 2. You're still at the place where you branched. So maybe origin master was there. It's also possible that because I haven't refreshed this page, I can just see what it was here. Latest commit, DA1D383. You recognize that here?
Yeah, so that's that actually.
It looks like that would have been origin master, so we got lucky. So now that we know what it was, we can move it back there, right? How do we move it back there?
You want to exit out of that?
Okay.
BI.
Well, not VI. It's just pure git commands.
Okay. Get diff.
Oh, we are here. Head is here, right? So this thing is up here. We want this origin master to be down here. So we got a couple options. We can move ourselves back here, right? Just do a reset dash hard. The other thing is, since we know the SHA, we can push the SHA to origin master. We've also got a branch that points to it, so we could use this as a reference as well. So here's what I mean. Let's try the SHA. I haven't actually tried this, but it should work. So when we say git push origin and some branch, hey, how's it going? Good, no worries. We would say something like master here, but that's actually just shorthand for local branch to remote branch.
Master to master.
Master colon master, right? That's GitHub sort of interprets that as a short version of this longer syntax. So it's just just convention. So if we, in our case, we didn't want to push master, we want to push this instead. Basically saying make master to be this. I'm not sure this would work. This could be even worse, but let's just try it. It says we can't do that because it's trying to merge. So we're going to have to use a dash force. Right? Like, no, we're really sure. Now it may create a branch called blah blah blah. But no, it didn't. It went ahead, it looks like, and pointed, forced the update. Let's see what it thinks it is now. Okay, all right. Now we see origin master is down here. And move the head back down there as well. So I think we got ourselves out of trouble.
And if that wasn't there and we weren't lucky, then are we screwed?
I did that.
No, but you have more work to do.
Okay.
So yeah, you could this is a way you can actually push an arbitrary SHA to a remote branch. This is also how you delete branches, by the way. The syntax. If we were to delete master, we would do something like, we don't need a dash force. This is a weird syntax, but this is how Git does it. Basically, if we want to delete a remote branch, we say push nothing to that branch. Right? So preceding with a colon means there's empty thing to the branch, and then that just deletes the branch.
Why does master to master, like, what is the first master that's getting pushed onto the actual?
Your local, yeah, your master is separate and distinct from the origins master.
Okay.
Often, not always, but often.
Okay.
Right. They're both just pointers. And anything that has a remote name, like origin is the name of a remote. That's a read only. You can't actually merge directly to that, right? You can merge from it because it's reading a pointer to a line of development that you care about. That's what when you do a git pull, it's a two-step process. It's a fetch and a merge. The fetch should always work. It's just if your network is connected, your fetch will bring down anything that's interesting as far as SHAs, commits, and put them in your repo. It doesn't do anything with them. It just puts them there for you to work with. Because origin master wouldn't be interesting to you if the SHAs weren't there for you to work with, right? Because then you couldn't look at them or merge them or do anything with them like that. So fetch always works. But then the next thing it does is a merge. When you say git pull, it says, oh, I see you're on master. Oh, you must mean you want to pull from the remote, your default remotes master. Oh, we'll assume that your origin is the name of the remote you mean. It makes a lot of assumptions, basically. When you say just git pull, there's a lot of conventions in place that are getting exercised when you do that. One of them is that you must mean origin as your remote. Another one is you must mean master as the remote branch you want to pull down. Oh, you must want to also fetch and merge it, you know, do both fetching and merging. And so it tries to do as much of that as it can. And then if it gets to the merge part and there's conflicts, it says, oh, okay, I'm done now. I've done them up as far as I can go. Now you got to do the rest for me. Resolve the conflicts, add to the index, commit the changes, you finish the merge basically. So, all right, I'm going to get out of that before I actually run that because that would be not fun. So, get it back, but all right. So we're still up here. Let's just back out of this because we don't really care about this, right? How do we back out of that?
Reset.
Mm-hmm.
Reset it hard.
Where do you want to reset to? Do you want to reset to here? Probably not here. Probably not here. This is still kind of part of our stash. So probably not here, right? We could. Here's Aaron's branch. We could certainly pull down Aaron's branch and you know, can make more changes to it if you wanted. Or we could just go back, line up again with master. Put our master back in line with origin master.
Where are we now? What's out of line? The staging area?
Well, this is our local master, right? So we're up here. My head is pointing to master, which is pointing to this commit SHA up here. So I'm sort of thinking I don't want to keep those changes because you don't want those changes. I just made, you know, something off the top of my head. So how do I get my repo back in a state that is in which I can move forward with the class? Where did I start out? I guess that's a good. Where did my head start out when I did a git clone?
DALD383.
Yeah, right here. So there's several ways I can do it. It's just, it all resolves down to this SHA, whichever way I do it, right? I could say that SHA specifically. I could say, there's also a syntax. I'll just show you this in case you run across it. So I know we need to do this, right? We could say that would work. We could also say, because we know that's what origin master points to, we could say, yeah, just point to whatever origin master points to. The idea is this, whatever you specify here resolves down to a SHA that you want to go to, right? We could also say, and this is the one I'm going to show you that you might run into, something like this. So what this says is point, okay, this says point to the parent of head, first parent of head, technically. This says point to the grandparent of head, the first parent of the first parent. So because we were looking at this, that's two back, right? One, oops, here's one, so here's head caret sign, here's head caret caret. So that would also evaluate to this SHA that we want to get to. That's my theory. Let's try it. So git reset dash hard head caret. So that worked. Yeah, so that's as far as there's a whole there's a whole git reference syntax, like it's almost a language in and of itself to manage different versions of, you know, tree versions development and streams development and traversing them and for showing diffs and merging codes. So that's as much as I ever really use. But just so you recognize that, there's also stuff like tilde. We do something like that. That's similar, but it means, like, caret means the first grandparent. Tilde means something different than that. It means, it's a different traversal. So you could say, head tilde 2. And that means something different than head caret caret. But I'm just going to walk away from that right now because that's.
So do you
I never use
it.
Sorry? What was the question?
Sorry, the mouse hates me. Do you still have your change, like that you did your stash on?
Good question. So the stash is showing up because I haven't gotten rid of it. The change, does anybody know the answer to that? Is the change still there somewhere? Like that I committed after I merged my stash? Could I get back to it?
I think so if you committed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not showing up because there's no branches pointing to it. But if I do a get ref log, which is, if you recall, the local log of what head used to point to. Right, this kind of looks like it right here, doesn't it? So if I wanted to get back to it just for maybe historical purposes, just to keep track of it, I could say, get branch, my old delete change, right? Call it something, and then attach it to a commit. Whoops, that's the wrong one. What's it called? Get ref log. I'll copy that. This one. Copy. Quit. Now it's going to complain, I think, because I already made the branch. All right, fine. Clean up after myself. I say, okay, good. So now I can make it point it to the one I want. Now I do an ADOG. And there it is. Right? Back in view. So the get log just shows whatever branches point to that it knows about. Local branches, remote branches, your head, your stash is sort of a branch. So just if there's no branch pointing to it, it doesn't show it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. All right. And kind of conversely, if you delete the branch, it doesn't mean it goes away. Now it does say, okay, you've not merged this thing, so make sure you want to get rid of it because you'll lose your reference to it if you do delete it. So now that the branch pointer is gone, but it didn't take away the commit itself, if that makes sense. The commit is still there, the SHA is still there, and then get database. So that's one aspect of Git having your back, is that it doesn't just throw things away unless you explicitly tell it to, with something like git prune. Clean up anything that doesn't have anything pointing to it. If you don't do that, then it will stay there.
Would you have deleted it with the colon syntax, the blank dash?
That doesn't do any commits, right? All that does is push. That just pushes deletions to the remote. Now the remote, you don't have as much control over what gets cleaned up or pruned as you do locally, because the remote is, remember, it's github.com or some variant, and they may go ahead and run a prune on your repo. So if you were to reclone it from scratch, you may find all those things gone, all those dangling references gone. So you can't depend on the deleted stuff still being around if you pull it fresh. Now if you pull, and update, that's you still got your original local copy. It's not going to reach down and delete stuff for you. It just doesn't do that. But if you pull it fresh, you may have pushed up your repo and then deleted it, and then you pull it, when you pull it back down again, the remote may have taken your copy of the repo and cleaned it up for you. And then what you get back is a cleaned up, hacked, compressed copy. It looks the same as far as all these branches are concerned, but if you try to do what we just did with getting at something that you deleted a branch pointer to, it may not be there. But that's kind of a corner case for the most part. Let's take a break. It looks like it's about 11:05, 10 minutes, and then come back and do a couple other things.
Are you recording this?
Don't know. That would be a question for John.